Is alcohol linked to trauma? Alcoholic people, in my opinion, I didn't do a study, but alcoholics are 100% covering trauma. Now, it's not just alcoholics who are experiencing or experience trauma, is everyone for the most part, um, in different manners. But how they cope with it, different. So some people overeat, some people do drugs, and some people do alcohol. Some people do sex. There's different ways that they cope. I even saw a documentary a long time ago of this lady that unless she does exercise, hardcore exercise all day long. So she has a treadmill in her house and she runs and runs and runs and sweats and runs and runs and runs. It's the only way she can cope with anxiety. So she gets anxiety and panic attacks unless she has to be in that treadmill all the time. So there are different ways that people cope with trauma. Now, the question is, why alcohol? Why do people do induce some they take something or they do something? Well, what is that? What does it do to trauma? To, let's say, drink alcohol. You think it will take away the trauma, or when you drink, the trauma will go away. It doesn't. Actually, it only perpetuates the trauma. So what happened is your physical body has its own consciousness, and contrary what they told us, that is the brain who's controlling us in a sense, or the ego. It's not either control, and it's not either the brain or the ego. It's a mechanism of the body consciousness. So what the body does is the body consciousness archives every situation, every experience that you had in let's say in folders, so that you can understand. And I explained that before in one of my podcasts, that if it's a good experience, it will be in a pink folder or blue folder, and if it's a bad experience, will be in a brown or black folder, let's say. That's just a way for me to explain it so that you kind of get the concept of what is happening here. So whenever you almost get very close to finding out what really happened to you, the body will stop you, because in a sense it's trying to protect you. You know what I say, that if a tiger is chasing you, a man with a knife is chasing you, the body will release adrenaline so you can run, right? That's the way the body does. It's releasing adrenaline so that you run away from danger. There's a threat in there. Well, what happens then is when you come very close, whether there is a trigger, something that is happening right now, in the now, that is triggering something in the then, an experience then, or something that happened then in the past. Sometimes things, people, voices, perfumes, whatever it is. Sometimes you don't even, well, most of the time you don't even recognize that it's a trigger. You just don't feel you don't feel good, and you don't know why. So the body will stop you from going there. You know, in a sense, the body is saying, "No, you're not. You're not going there," and it will do anything to stop you. So, is it anxiety? Is it a panic attack? Is it a sharp pain? Is it a headache? Is it nauseous? It will do something physical so that you don't go there. That's exactly what is happening. So let me recap. The difficult part of a trauma and healing trauma is that the body will try to stop you from going there, because the body doesn't want you to. The body doesn't know the difference between past and future. The body knows present, because in reality there's only present. There's no past and future. So the body is in the now, always in the now. And so when you are, you want to go there to that experience, the body will stop you. Will say, "Oh, no, it's dangerous." It's trying to help you. But the thing is that you live your whole life like that. If you don't do something about it, you will continue be almost getting there, and the body is stopping you from going there. So you will live a life of the body stopping you. You're trying, stopping you. You're trying, because it's life. You're gonna do something. You're gonna get a job. Your boss, your ex-husband, your husband, your new boyfriend, your girlfriend, your in-laws. They're constantly triggering, right? That trauma, and the body is constantly sending you something to stop you. So that's where you're going to end up the whole time, with pain, headaches, nausea, and it will get worse and worse and worse. So, especially when you try to figure out what the hell's going on. So, what you do is, and I don't know what kind of trauma anyone that is listening to me had. So you just got to be gentle, and you just got to be, it's better if you do it with somebody that knows what they're doing. In the case that you encounter something, your body started, you basically, you got to know what to do. I'm talking about like extreme cases, not your regular thing, they abuse you, you beat up your mother, whatever. I know that doesn't sound too comforting or nice that I say that, but there are horrible things that happen to people. Horrible. And I'm not going to even talk about it here, but you probably read it. So there are people that encountering horrible things. Now, is there a difference between your father smacking you when you were 7 and telling you he's going to kill you, or the father who almost hung you in the basement and you're ready to die? It's the same. It's trauma. Okay? So you can measure like how much trauma you had. Trauma is trauma. But there are things that are very the body barrier. I read the story of this guy who because what happened now with the shift, you are having dreams, you're having bleed throughs, meaning all of a sudden you enter another probability, another dimension, and you enter other focuses. It's happening a lot, and I'll talk about that because this is traumatizing people. But you suddenly have a dream, or you start to see. Some people, they see that, they see images that come in their head of their past when you were little, and they try to question, what the hell is that? I see these images that come in my head. I was a little boy, and this is what happened with this guy. images when he was a little boy and being abused by the babysitter. And at the time, he said he must have been like 2 years old, right? Okay. And he started to dig and dig and dig until he talked to these teachers, right? So the story is that I'm not going to go deep into details because it's kind of disturbing for us or for me. But basically, the babysitter must have been 12 years old, and she wanted to take care of him, watch him, take him out. But the reason she did it was she thought if I take him home with me, my father would stop abusing me, sexually molesting me. So that's why she started taking care of him. But she took him to her house, and the father still molested her, rape her in front of the little boy. So he's a 2-year-old watching this shit, that had nothing to do with his family. That a babysitter took him, and now he's witnessing this stuff. But then in images, he saw that she was also molesting him. So that's what the idea that, not the idea, this is what I was talking about, that all victims become, aggressors, or what you said, perpetrators. But when he tried to see what is this image, what is this happening, he tried to dig in more, he will get, not feel well, headache, or nauseous, or, a little anxious, So what you do is, this teacher told me that, is that when you feel that anxious, that moment, you take the 3 fingers, the index, the thumb, and the middle finger, right? Put them together. You see, they're all touching. So you take the thumb, index, and middle finger, touch them, both hands, you touch them. Just do it now. Now, stop tapping, tap. In a sense, you take in the middle finger and the index, and you're hitting the thumb, right? Now, the tip, the part that is soft, not the nail, but the other part, you just tap. And you do that, tap. And what it does is, it will take whatever you have on the left side of the brain, will move it to the right side of the brain, okay? Now, the left side of the brain is information that's hidden. Let's say it's hidden, but in reality it's not hidden. You know it, nothing is hidden from you. It's just a way that, as let's say psychology uses, that is in the subconscious, There's a consciousness and then the subconsciousness. But in reality, there's no subconsciousness, It's there. It's just hidden. Prevents you from going there because the body is trying to, protect you from threat, something that could be, the body sees it as a threat. So you tap it, and it moves it. Let's say when you are in a group of people, right? You go in, people that you don't know, you come in, and it's everybody's around, and you start to get nervous, anxious, do the tapping, okay? And then what happens is, when you do that, that information, this experience, is embedded in one of the grooves of the brain, right? And the left side of the brain is there. It's like having a little popcorn seed that gets stuck in your tonsils. It's right there. Your tonsils are very soft, and you can get stuff that gets stuck in there. It's like a sponge. It's smushy. So the brain has many, many grooves, and the information is there. Now, when you do that, it drops, it falls, and it goes from the left to the right. Get it? So now, what happened is the body sees. An example. Your grandfather, you were 3 years old or 2 years old. Your grandfather came with a knife and said he's going to cut your head off, and you almost fainted. You pee your pants in fear, terror. Or simply, he said that he looks at you and said that he's going to cut your head off and he's going to kill you. And he's probably drunk or looks really angry, and you get really scared. Now, that memory got archived is in the left side of the brain. Maybe it's in the left side. I'm saying something like that, maybe not, but maybe it is. Some people don't remember things that happened when they were 2 years old. Some people do. I'm talking about stuff that you don't remember, unquote, you don't remember because it's not in front, right? On the right side of the brain. So you don't remember. Now, whenever you go someplace and a smell of alcohol, a specific alcohol your grandfather drank, or maybe the music used to play, or maybe a guy that reminds you of him, looks like him, you don't even know. You don't say, oh my God, that reminds me of my grandfather. No, it could be something that you don't even notice. And you start to feel very anxious, like anxiety. Because anxiety is a fear, no? It's a fear, or it's a threat that you... Excuse me, I had to sneeze. So, so you start to feel this fear, and you don't know why. All of a sudden you don't recognize that the old man looks like your grandfather or anything. So in that moment, you do the tapping of your fingers, and now that memory that was on the left side goes to the right side, and you go, yes, this guy reminds me of my grandfather. He was an alcoholic. I remember he used to scare me. But now in the present, doesn't scare you. If your grandfather says, I'm going to kill you, you laugh. Or the way things go now, they take a video and put it on social media and laugh. But it doesn't scare you. So that memory is keeping you prisoner. You are in chains. There's a card in the tarot where the woman is tied and blindfolded and is surrounded by swords, and that's exactly the way I see it. Is the tarot is amazing, especially the original one. To me, is very symbolic, of things that happen. And I wrote a book, and I don't know how to write. Well, I used to know how to write, now I hate to write, so that's why I don't write. I guess if I could, the last thing I did was I had AI write the book for me, so that was cool. But when you write a book, people want to see that you're really good at what you speak about. Just today I was talking to someone, telling this person that you can write a book, you can do anything. He said, wow, you should, I don't know about that, writing a book. Wouldn't that be like wrong to do that? I said, no more wrong than all the movie stars, all the politicians who wrote books. All these movie stars, all the politicians, when you see biographies of all these politicians and movie stars, singers, they didn't write it. It was a ghostwriter, what they call a ghostwriter. So a ghostwriter is someone, I can hire somebody to write a book for me, and it sounds like you wrote it, right? And they give you the credits to you. You didn't write it. These people don't know how to write like that. Well, it's official. There's ghostwriters. So instead of hiring a ghostwriter that's going to charge me thousands and thousands of dollars, I use AI, and it's free. So there you have it. So that's why I'm doing it now, because when I wrote that book, I just did it quickly before I forgot, because I received all this information and I thought, wow. And I wrote it quickly before I forgot. So I would like to do it, maybe fix it, the writing, maybe the pictures didn't come out too good. I did it quickly because I was afraid that I'd forget all that, and because I procrastinate. So I wrote it. But one day I'm going to do the video to show you how this came to me. And if you look at the tarot cards, they're telling you the story of the human experience, okay? And maybe I'll do it in English, and it's not really a book. It's something that I do super fast. But anyway, so there's a card in there with the woman is surrounded by swords and it has blindfolded. But you can see that she can take the blindfold and she can move. The feet are not tied. She can walk, and there's an opening, a path that she can go through, right? But she's blindfolded, and I saw a picture of a horse that was tied to a plastic chair, a stupid little plastic chair, and it was not even tied. He would just they put the thing in there, the rope, and it was there. And the meme was like, I forgot what the meme was about, but basically it was like, when you're obedient, right? When you're in fear, they just very very easy that they control you. And I was thinking, yeah, that horse is so powerful. If that horse really really wanted, but why did you think it stayed there and didn't move? Because he's been abused since he was a baby. A baby, you abuse him to obedience, and that's what they did. They did it to us, to people. The government, the church, the parents, they all beat the obedience out of all of us, except for the new generation that we have so many protection, or they still do it, but it's very weird and rare. It's not very common, and it's not accepted. And I just want to say something to thank you very much. That's the boy that you saw that getting hit in the head by somebody, the mother. Just think, and you thought, what an abuse, right? Abusing. Think about that was your father. You mentioned that your father was an alcoholic and you were abused, or you probably were abused. You don't remember. He was abused. He was abused, and he didn't know how to cope. And back then, our parents, that generation, they call it the silent generation. Even my generation, the boomers, they taught us everything with abuse, right? And there was no laws that protect the children, and everybody saw it like normal. It's okay to do that. And another thing that they did was brainwash people into thinking that you have to have a family. And if you're a man, you're supposed to work, get married, and have kids. Otherwise, you're gay. And if you're gay, it was looked down like something really bad, So you did every possible thing to keep that, the standards, the status quo. That yes, you get married, you have children, but you have traumas, and it comes to a point where the only way was to deal with is alcohol, because that's what they did in your family or your friends. So alcohol, for the moment, alcohol doesn't make you forget. Alcohol makes you think more and more and more what happened to you, and it makes you more angry. And while you're there, swimming in alcohol, there's a kid crying, the wife is yelling, the TV is on, and the kid is ma, and you just want to kill everybody in the house, okay? Because alcohol is the energy of the liver, which is anger. And anger that is suppressed turns into hate. So people that drink has an issue with anger, okay? That's why it affects the liver. The same thing when you deal with overeating. Overeating is also the energy of resentment, resentment and anger, suppressed anger. Now, you say, why that? Well, because anyone that you see overweight, and it doesn't matter how overweight they are, and you look Well, I'll do another video separate about what's overweight or what is the alcohol. But if you see someone with a belly, all right, they're overweight and they have a big belly or medium belly, but they have a belly, and sometimes it's really big, the belly, and you think it's fat, and you think, well, that person is fat, and that's why they have a belly. No. The difference between somebody who eats and somebody that drinks is that the alcoholic or the person that drinks, the way they deal with anger is telling everybody to fuck up, beat up everybody, hit the walls. So you express the anger. And I mean I mean the person that has this anger, blah, 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 they express it. When they get drunk, they express it. They don't give a fuck if it's a cop with it, and sometimes they end up really bad, but they express it. They crash the car. You don't crash the car because you're drunk. No, it's an energy. It's an energy like fuck everything. Okay? Now, the person that eats deals with anger differently. Doesn't want to hurt anyone. Right? So it doesn't express that anger. I'm going to talk about this because I think it's very good for anyone that is having issues with overweight or issues with alcohol. That is two different things, but it's the same thing. It's the way you express it or you don't express it. And that's why people that are overweight don't express it. People that are alcoholic usually for the most part, they're skinny or they're slender, but they're not fat. Okay? And they eat junk. They eat all the junk. Okay? They're not fat. They don't get fat. Okay? Now, you say, why it affects the liver to people who drink? No, it doesn't. Not everybody that drinks get the liver. The reason you start having issues with the liver, it could be because you're still holding a lot of anger and you're not letting it go, or because you have that belief that they impose on us that if you drink, it will fuck up your liver. That's it. Because people have been drinking since the eons, since the beginning of time, right? And now recently it's like, oh, now your liver. No, alcohol doesn't affect your liver. Now, the liver processes toxins, and maybe how much you drink, and it could affect that. In any case, when you realize that just your parents were abused, and I don't know how old you are, but you look very young. I saw you YouTube, and by the way, you look beautiful, really beautiful woman. And you look very young, so I don't know. I know that you're a lot younger than me, but I don't know how old your parents were, or they are. I don't know if they're still alive. But the boomer generation and the generation before us, the boomers, we were abused. That generation, it was normal, and depending where you were born. But the generation before that, it was horrible. It was horrible what they did to the kids and the women. It was horrible. So if you have grandparents or you have parents, you have to realize there was no coping. Nobody was there to help them. They couldn't go on YouTube and watch something. They didn't know the anxiety, the anger, what to do with it. And for the most part, I hear that people come to me and say, my father abandoned me when I was a little girl. He was an alcoholic and he just walked out on us. And she hated him for that. And I said, you don't know what he did. He did something amazing for you. And it was out of love. He walked away on you, guys. He did the best thing for you. He had problems, and somebody who's an alcoholic has a lot of problems. They need compassion, but they don't. When they walk away on the family and the children, it's horrible. They don't want to do that, but they know it's the best thing than to be around your kids and abuse them. So they move away, and they probably end up in the street, homeless, or they decided, for a time they're in the street and horrible, and then they decided to fix, whatever it is, to do something better. Doesn't mean that they're cured from this trauma. They still do trauma, but sometimes they remarry. Many things happen. We do things very automatic, but he did something nice, which was leaving you. He was not selfish at all, and the girl saw it in a different way now. You see, she was a young girl. She saw her father as, yes, you know, he was having, because I read the tarot card, so but I know the way it is. The way is, you can, if you've never been an alcoholic, you cannot understand someone who's an alcoholic. I never drank, but the way I coped with everything in life was eating, and not with alcohol, but there's no difference. I would always say, well, not always, but late in life I realized that overeating and drinking, or over drinking, because that's what it is, over drinking, because a lot of people drink, but it's how much do you drink, is no different. And I would say that my drugs is food, because these are drugs. It would pacify me. In any case, yes, that's the I hope this is very informative for you. Thank you very much. If you just give me one name to use for you, because I always say thank you very much, and I don't know if people think that I'm talking, what is she talking about? She just said thank you very much a few times. Anyways, have a wonderful day.